Hey everybody, it's Safi and Marco Dish Out on Movies, the only movie review show on YouTube to review movies in terms of food. And it's just Marco here as usual, and I am here to review Spider Man No Way Home. Now, first off, I'm going to do a very short non spoiler review because, let's face it, when you talk about this movie, you have to talk about spoilers, or else you're not really there's a lot of people, if they're questioning if they should see the movie or not, then they just shouldn't see it. So, for those people, I'll just give you a quick little rundown of what I thought of the film without giving any spoilers away, even though you've probably already been spoiled. I mean, honestly, I think that people kind of underestimate how much spoilers ruin films. And with this particular one, there are certain people all over the place who just spoiled it, spoiled it, spoiled it. They're like, you want to hear the latest scoop on this movie? And then they just spoil it straight up. Of course, they warn you, but still, when they do that, they're 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 tempting you. It's like on the Biggest Loser when they had those temptation challenges. Obviously, everyone's gonna click and watch, so you really shouldn't just post or talk about it at all. And I haven't, and there's other people too, and they're such assholes that they don't even care if you like spoilers or not. They just talk about spoilers with you anyway, and they just completely destroy the experience of a film. And so, yeah, um, like with the Avengers Endgame trailers, remember that? Remember when uh, they were like, don't spoil the movie, and then they showed the final battle in the fucking trailers? Like, these spoilers are just getting like over the top, completely out of control. I'm really getting sick and tired of like having to live like an Amish person in order to not see any spoilers. Like seriously, the only good way, the only good place where you can avoid spoilers is pretty much the movie theater, because when I saw Infinity War, there was this huge crowd of like 200 people coming out of the theater who just watched the premiere, and I was on my way in, and nobody spoiled it whatsoever. And I thought that was pretty cool, like one little moment in history where you had all these people that could have just yelled spoilers and then they didn't. But the reason why I say that is because it's going to get into the flaws of the film. This film was doomed from the beginning. It was almost like the movie. I don't. It's really strange. No pun intended. It's strange because the movie's all about Spider-Man and Doctor Strange and everything, and how well, I see how hard it is to talk about this movie. That okay, I'm gonna try. This is hard to do this. It was a flawed movie from the start because the past two movies were complete shit. They were complete garbage. They were horrible. You know, terrible characters. You got all these tokenized versions of comic characters, token MJ, token Ned, token Flash Thompson, token this, token that, and it really kind of ruined the characters, because then they also were like copying other movies. Like they copied The Breakfast Club, and they made MJ basically Allison from The Breakfast Club. But then they kind of changed their mind in the second movie, and then they changed their mind again in this movie. And it's like, see, this is why changing characters is bad, because when you change them, you can just basically do whatever you want. There's no limit. So you can just keep on changing and changing as long as it suits your stupid ass narrative. And that's what they did with this third movie. They changed things up once again. They change it up constantly to suit their fan service narrative. This movie basically could have been a cartoon special. Could have been a holiday cartoon special. That's how cartoonish and childish this one is. And it's all because really the foundation was trash. You have this shitty preschool Iron Man character. He's not Spider-Man. I'm not calling him Spider-Man. He is preschool Iron Man, and he's been that from the beginning. And so all this time, he's made all these trash decisions throughout the films. He's been a complete wimpy little bratty teenage loser. And so now, in this third movie, all of a sudden you're supposed to care. You're supposed to be on his side. And it's like, I don't care. I don't give a fuck about these characters. I don't care about Peter, the young Iron Man. I don't care about his friends. I don't care about his girlfriend. I don't care about any of them. I just don't care. And so because of that foundation being bad, this movie is bad. And another thing is that this movie's story is complete garbage. And if you take all the fan service away, like the stuff from the trailers, if you took all of those elements out of this movie, it would have been a total disaster. Nobody would have liked it. They would have said, ugh, this is the worst. Ugh, I'm so sick of this preschool Iron Man. But because of the fan service, people like it. And that is basically this whole movie. It is just fan service for the sake of fan service. If you really get into the nitty gritty, these decisions don't make any sense whatsoever. And it basically, it opens up a can of worms. So, overall, all of these things, it's the same thing that we've been doing with these TV show finales. You know, like the American Horror Story finale. All of these finales, what have we said about them? And now there's a bird that's basically, it is, I'm serious, it is a fanboy bird who's like trying to stop me from saying what I'm saying. It's really weird. But it's the same thing where, like, if you don't have a good foundation, you're not going to have a good finale. This movie is supposedly fuck off, bird. God, do you guys hear that? I'm serious. Like, this is insane. It must be like a, I don't know, like a bird that's like a robot controlled by Disney or something. Yeah, see? Just responded and said, yeah, I am, bitch. Shut up. Oh, you shut up. You shut up. Anyways, I'm not I'm not gonna let that bother me anymore. I don't even know if that joke will work, because you guys might not even be able to hear it. But anyways, this movie, it could have been. I don't really know if it is a finale, because isn't he gonna do 3 more movies now too? So, if it was it could have been like there were some ideas in it that could have made a good finale, honestly, and I would have said, like, this is a really good film, but it's a spectacle. And we've gotten to the point now where, well, okay, I'll talk about it in spoilers, but it's just the fact that this spectacle is so big that from now on, people are just going to expect more and more spectacle. They're not going to be happy with Spider-Man fighting the Sinister Six in his own universe. They're going to say, well, why can't we have a movie where Tom Holland fights with that universe character in that universe? Why can't we have Hugh Jackman come back as Wolverine, and then he comes to this universe and fights Spider-Man? You know, it's a disaster now. It's a complete and total disaster because of this can of worms. Just like with the spell in the film that they do. It opens up. It's almost like the spell is made by the people who made the movie. And now the people who made the movie, they have opened up this can of worms, and it's never going to be closed because they had to. This movie felt so desperate. This movie was desperation with a capital D. It was so desperate that at some points they literally stopped the plot of the movie so that they can give you more fan service and they can give you more and more and more. It's like they're shoving your face. Like, remember that scene from the Grinch remake where the Grinch is being carried and they're just shoving food and puddings in his face? That's what this is like. Not in a good way either, because all of it just feels so fake and so superficial. It's almost like a band-aid approach to this universe, this plot, this terrible plot. I mean, there's so many jokes in this movie too, and they all fall flat except for like three of them in the whole film. Other than that, there's just all these lame ass jokes, and it's just oh oh, the decisions that Spider-Man makes. Oh, terrible decisions made in this film, and they just make his character look worse and worse and worse. This movie, this is not good, folks. Like, you got to take your blinders off. You got to take off the glasses and see the reality. This movie is putting you under a spell, and you need to get to break the spell of trash. It's a trash spell made by desperate, greedy producers. It's nothing but a spell, and you're all falling for it. If you seriously want to tell me that this movie is better than the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movies, that is complete and utter garbage. Complete bullshit. And I don't even want to hear that, because that's just, it's blasphemy at this point. It is the best of the three, but that's only because it's actually a Spider-Man movie. Like, this is the only one that feels like a Spider-Man movie out of the three. The other two, they're just Iron Man movies. And even so, it still manages to fuck shit up. And now I want to get into spoilers. But first, I'm going to give this movie my review. I thought about it, and I was having hard-boiled eggs for breakfast today. And it made me think, this movie is comparable to, let's say you thought that you cooked an egg. You're an idiot. You're like the producers who make these movies. You thought that you cooked an egg for 2 minutes, okay? You think it's cooked. But you didn't even turn on the stove to boil the egg. So it's not cooked at all. So you got this hard-boiled egg, and you crack it open, and it just spills all over your hand. The shell cracks open. It's all oozing all over the place. Like, I don't even want to make that comparison. And that's this movie. Because of the foundation not being cooked, the egg, in order to have a hard-boiled egg, you have to cook the hard-boiled egg. And if you don't cook it, you're not going to have a hard-boiled egg. You're going to have a raw egg. And raw eggs, I'm sorry, but mostly everyone is not Rocky Balboa. Not everyone is going to like eating raw eggs. Especially when it spills all over your hand and goes all over the place. That's this movie. It's a hard-boiled egg that's not been hard-boiled. It's just raw. It's raw. And the only thing, in my opinion, you can make a good protein shake out of a raw egg. Just get 4 raw eggs, put it with half a cup of heavy cream, protein powder, boom. And that is how you make a delicious protein shake. However, we're not having protein shakes today, buddy. We're supposed to be having hard-boiled eggs. And now we can't, because you ruined it with the foundation being garbage. So what could have been a delicious breakfast with salt and pepper on that bitch is now a slimy mess in my hands, which pisses me off greatly. Now for the spoilers. Yes, this is one of the better movies of 2021, but that's not saying much. The movies this year have been abhorrent. They have been trash. They have been completely and utterly awful. Like, we had a Mortal Kombat movie, and it was awful. We had Zack Snyder's Justice League. Awful. This movie being better than those isn't impressive at all. I'm not impressed. with this fan service, okay? Because now we're in spoilers. You brought back all these villains from past films. You brought back Toby and Andrew. What did that accomplish? It basically just blinds you to the flaws of this movie. That's what it does. Because you're watching this and you're saying, yeah, this is really good. But just imagine if in an alternate universe, none of those people are in this movie. And instead, they're basically alternate versions of the characters in this movie. So, like, instead of Toby and Andrew, what if it was just two other Toms who were different Toms? You know what I mean? Like, what if all the villains were just copies of the types they would have put in this movie? Like, what if they made a Green Goblin in this universe and then just had a different Green Goblin copy of him in the movie? You guys would have hated this movie. You would have said it was bad. You would have said it was a terrible Spider-Man film. So basically you're telling me that the only reason this movie is good is because of fan service. And I'm sorry, but that's not good. That's not good at all. And there are good things in the movie, but all of them are kind of ruined because of that bad foundation. Like the stuff at the end where he's got to do the spell again so that he can, and everyone's going to forget that he existed. That was like a genuinely really really good idea, and it was and it could have been like perfect for a final Spider-Man movie, for that to happen. But no, it's ruined because of it, you not caring. Like, who cares about MJ? Who cares about Ned? I don't care. Like, why the fuck would I care? These characters are garbage. I don't care about them. So that doesn't work. It's sad, really, because it was some good ideas that were ruined by the foundation being poor. And besides that, Spider-Man in this movie is more like Spider-Wimp once again. Okay, he starts off and, well, first off, he starts all this drama so that his friends can go to college. Like, wow, I couldn't have thought of a weaker motivation in history. Like, just imagine, guys, just imagine sacrificing the universe. Like, doing that spell, causing this unstable spell where all these bad guys come in, these bad guys who can kill people, they have killed people. Just imagine doing all that so that MJ can go to MIT. Like, what the? Like, I'm sorry, but that is just the dumbest shit I've ever heard. And then they have this goofy ass sequence where he conjures up this little scenario where this college admissions woman is in a car, in traffic, and she's stuck in traffic, and then Dr. Octopus comes and he saves her from Doc Ock. And then she's like, oh, I'll talk to the admissions people now. You're actually a hero. Oh, I never would have known that. And it's like, oh, shit. God, what? I'm serious. That there is a conspiracy to make me not review this film. And I'm serious. This is ridiculous now. This is just getting ridiculous. What is it, a Christmas present? Is all this getting interrupted for a Christmas present? Oh. Okay. Now, hopefully I won't get any more interruptions, because that's irritating too. Because I don't want to have to shoot it all over again and everything. Fuck that. But, okay. So I was talking about Spider-Man's decision. I mean, not Spider-Man. Young Iron Man's decision making in this film. And then after that, they capture the villains of the movie in like 2 seconds. Like, it's not even funny how quickly they capture these villains. And Then they have all the villains locked away, and Doctor Strange says that their fates, they have to die. These villains have already died in their past movies. They've got to die again. So he wants to send them back through the cube thing that he has. And Spider-Man, I mean, God, fuck. Young Iron Man says no. And then young Iron Man breaks out all the Sinister Six himself. And I did think that the best part of the movie for me was the part where he was with the villains in that apartment and he was working with all of them to cure their diseases. I actually liked that part kinda because it was cool seeing these villains interact. But you see, once again, fan service. That's what's good about it. Fan service. I like seeing that actor interact with that actor in a costume. That's fan service. And there's a lot of jokes in the film where they poke fun at past movies and such, and it really comes off as lame because you're making fun of these past movies when your movies suck ass. So, like, please don't make fun of Otto Octavius and his name being Otto Octavius when you, Tom Holland, have Spider-Man Far From Home and Spider-Man Homecoming as your movies. I mean, those movies are so bad. I would never ever watch those pieces of shit again. Ever. Even if someone said, Marco, if you watch those movies, I'm going to give you $10 million. No. Not high enough. It would have to be like 500 million for me to consider it. That's how bad those movies are. Like, I'll watch practically any movie. I still watch The Amazing Spider-Man 2. I watch that movie once in a while because it's fun. And it's good in like a bad way. And also because Andrew Garfield's really good. Now, but just the fact that these villains have already died. Okay, they're supposed to die. But of course, in the MCU, no one's supposed to die because dying means consequences. And consequences means that you won't have any future movies. So this dipshit young Iron Man doesn't want these villains to die. That's the whole plot of this movie. I mean, what a retarded ass plot. And it's so funny because, guys, you've got a lizard. You've got an octopus robot man. You got a Sandman. You got an electric man. You've got the other guy. I can't remember. What was the other guy? I can't remember. And then at the end you have the Green Goblin, who has a multiple personality disorder where he at some points he's Green Goblin, at the other points he's Norman Osborn. And you're going to tell me that these people are so stupid. I mean, you've got an apartment with these quote unquote intelligent scientists, Otto Octavius, Norman Osborn himself, and none of these people, these supposedly smart people, none of them can figure out that the first person that we should cure is the person with a multi-personality disorder. None of them can figure that out. I mean, what a bunch of pathetic idiots these people are, these characters. And it's sad because they're tarnishing these amazing characters by making them this stupid. I mean, even I would have known that. Like, guys, a multiple personality disorder, that's something you can't control. I mean, him and Otto Octavius were the two most important people to get under control because they both kind of had problems like that, mental issues. And yet, Peter puts all of his focus on Electro after he cures Otto Octavius. I mean, what a fucking... Oh, God. Oh, movie. And then if that's not bad enough, okay, earlier on in the film, if I could even call this a film, it's basically just a spectacle. Earlier on in the film, they showed Daredevil. the great Daredevil from the great canceled Daredevil Netflix show. They have him make a cameo. And then later on in the film, when Spider-Man is getting six-man teamed up on, he's getting ganged up on by the Sinister Six, Daredevil isn't there to help him. Like, guys, I can't make this dumbass shit up. Like, why would you establish that another superhero exists if he's not going to come to the aid of another superhero? Like, what kind of retarded shit is that? If you had the Defenders from the Netflix universe come and save Spider-Man from the Sinister Six, then it would have been so easy to do that. Like, how hard? Because in this movie, it's such an amazing Spider-Man movie. The villains, they fight Spider-Man, young Iron Man, and then Green Goblin kills Aunt May, and after that she does something blasphemous, and then they leave him. They leave him alone. They just run away. Like, what? Like, did I miss something? Like, they literally fight with him, and then they explode the building once, and then they just run away. Like, what the fuck? What the fuck? Like, this stuff, it makes no sense. If you had just had the Netflix people come over and fend them off, then it would have made perfect sense. Like, this is just... And we didn't even get to see any next scene where we have the Sinister Six by themselves and they're conspiring. Okay, what do we do next? What's our attack plan? They literally just disappear from the movie for the next half. Like, this is fucking stupid. Like, why? Oh, because now we have to have more fan service. We gotta have... Oh, okay, and let's get through Aunt May. Aunt May is the one who says with great power comes great responsibility. And now, before I say fuck that, because fuck that, I'm gonna say this. In the original, in Spider-Man Homecoming, people understood why you didn't show Uncle Ben's death and the origin of Spider-Man becoming Spider-Man. But then the next one, the shitty second one, they had his memory be enclosed in a suitcase. And then the suitcase gets exploded. And he literally doesn't give a flying fuck. And now in this movie, you have it where Aunt May says with great power comes with great responsibility. Sorry, I'm getting another interruption now. But that's just fucking retarded. It's like they're completely trying to erase the memory of Uncle Ben. And it's so disgusting and it's so sickening that that's where we are now. And people are going to say this is a good Spider-Man movie. No. And, what else? What else? Remember how in the second movie, Happy was supposed to be a huge part of young Iron Man's life now? Well, remember that? Not anymore. Because now Aunt May breaks up with him. Ugh. And then he disappears from the movie, basically. And he comes in here and there. He comes in at the end, and they have a little memory loss joke, and that's it. But then we have the scene where the other two Spider-Men come. And now, obviously, that was good, quote-unquote, because it was fan service. And it literally felt like a reunion video, where you had Toby, Andrew, and Tom together in a room. And they're talking together. They're like, and I'm not kidding. At one point, Tom asks, are there any crazy other villains you guys have fought? And it's like, what? Like, what is this? Like, is this a Spider-Man reunion, or is it a movie? Like, see, this is what I mean. This shit is bad, and it's so desperate. It's just sad, But you have kind of like a good part where the Spider-Men are teaming up to defeat the Sinister Six and to cure them. They're not even really called the Sinister Six, though. That's another thing, is that is that once again, it's just like these six villains just happen to team up. They just happen to team up. They have no depth to their character whatsoever because they completely disappear from the film for the second half of the movie until the final fight. So then they have the final fight, and let me just say this, okay? Toby did a good job as expected. I mean, if Toby didn't do a great job, if he had just phoned it in this movie, that would have been something to talk about. Okay, so don't give me that like, I know he did a perfect job because he's a fantastic actor. Like that's undebatable. Like that was never going to be an argument to begin with, unless sadly he did phone it in, which he didn't. So who cares? But Andrew Garfield, I just gotta say that I completely regret ever criticizing his movies because I would have much rather have had more movies with him than ever see Tom Holland, young Iron Man, preschool young Iron Man. I would have much rather have seen more movies with him because he was the best Spider-Man in this whole film. He was the best one. He had the best acting. He had the best moments. And so it was completely like a irritating thing. It really pissed me off because I was just like, oh, God, and see now that they've opened up this can of worms, what are people going to say? They're going to say, well, I don't want to see Tom Holland Spider-Man. I want to see Andrew Garfield Spider-Man. I don't want to see Tom Holland Spider-Man. I want to see a Tobey Spider-Man 4. Why can't you make that? You already opened up the can of worms. So why not? See what I mean? Why doing that was a bad idea? Because now that's all people are going to say. It's going to get more extreme from there. You're going to have your cringeworthy Miles Morales fans. Speaking of token Spider-Man, let's talk about the cringe. God, now we got another interruption. Unbelievable. Mowing the lawn in the middle of December, in the middle of wintertime. Unbelievable. Fucking retarded. This is such an interesting review. It's almost like portals are opening up constantly with interruptions, just trying to sabotage this brilliant review. Quote unquote brilliant, because I know it's not a great review because it's so chaotic and unstructured, but it's the best I'm going to do for this trash movie. But anyways, where was I at? Oh yeah, Token Spider-Man, Miles Morales. He's not even Spider-Man at all, he's just Token. Token Morales, invented so that they could have a black Spider-Man trash character. Well, Jamie Foxx, he was the worst part of the film too. I gotta say, like, even though I have my issues with the film, they're all outweighed by him being bad. Because his character, he wasn't, he was horrible in The Amazing Spider-Man, but he wasn't completely horrible. Like, he had a cool look to him. I really liked that hoodie, blue Electro look. I thought that was pretty cool. Some stuff about him was pretty cool in concept, but it just wasn't executed well with how they did the movie. And the final fight with him, some of it was kind of cool, actually. I gotta admit. But him in this movie was just, wow. Like, he was pretty much just Jamie Foxx, and Jamie Foxx is not a good actor at all. And they have him have the most cringeworthy line probably in Spider-Man history. And he says something like, you got a nice suit, and you help lots of poor people. I thought you was going to be black. And then Andrew Garfield literally has to apologize for being white, for being a white person to Jamie Foxx's Electro. And then he says, there's got to be a black Spider-Man somewheres. And it's like, oh God, this is so fucking... Like, already this movie was getting on my nerves with its bullshittery. And then they had to say that. Like, oh. See, and they're continuing. It's funny. It's almost like they didn't learn their lesson. Because at the end of the movie, they're saying shit like that. It's like, are you going to open up more worms? Are you going to let more worms spill into this already dead series with this preschool Iron Man? Like, it's just, ugh. And as I said, there were some good jokes, like three. And one of them was the one with Ned, where Ned said that he has magical powers now, and he's not going to turn on Spider-Man and become a villain. I thought that that was a really good joke, actually, because obviously he does in the comics. So I thought that that was cool. And then the thing with Toby talking about how he had a best friend, but then he died in his arms. I thought that that was another good one. So again, there were some good things in this movie. It's just they were all outweighed by the artificialness, the fakeness, the complete lack of logic with this movie. So basically, it ends. All the villains have been cured except for Green Goblin, and I got to admit, I did like that part where young Iron Man, fights Green Goblin one on one, and he's so pissed at Green Goblin that he's gonna kill him with his own blade on purpose. And I thought that that would have been actually a great twist. And then and then Toby comes to basically stop him so he doesn't have to live with that regret. And again, I thought that was actually a really cool sequence there. Honestly, that was probably like my favorite part, was the last like 10 minutes with that fight, and then the part where everyone forgot that he's Spider-Man. I thought that that was the best part of the film. But yeah, what a disaster of a movie. But it's going to be remembered as one of the best Spider-Man movies because of fan service. And I gotta say, like, nah, not to me it isn't. Like, I'm the one living in reality, and everyone else is going to be put under the spell of this movie. And that's fine with me. Of course, I don't know what Safi's going to think. Safi's probably going to hate it too, so. But Safi really hates everything, except for, like, Hallmark movies and shit. So, anyways. And don't even get me started on Doctor Strange. Like, I don't even want to mention Doctor Strange because he was so bad. He was so bad in this movie, and now the cat is being an interruption. Unbelievable. Ugh. But yeah, Doctor Strange was so embarrassing and pathetic in this movie that I'm not even going to mention him. I'm not even going to talk about him. So bye-bye, Doctor Strange. There's no way in hell I am watching Doctor Strange 2 now. Now that I've seen what Doctor Strange is really going to be like in the future of the MCU universe. I mean, in the MCU, not the MCU universe. That sounds dumb. So, please like this video, comment, and comment all you want because I'd be willing to have the discussions. You know, obviously, I said there are good things in this movie. I liked how Green Goblin actually came to Spider-Man, and they have that little talk, and we get to see him as Norman more. And so I like stuff in this movie. It's just that it was all outweighed, and it was all on top of a weak foundation. And then please subscribe, and that's it. Goodbye, everybody. See you soon.